Overwhelm is a brutal, side-scrolling action platformer that takes inspiration from both Mega Man and Metroid. It's a winning formula. Pair it with the stark, monochrome visuals, cold electronic music, and increasingly difficult enemies, and Overwhelm adds up to an experience that lives up to its name. You play as a resistance fighter as they enter an underground hellscape infested with an infinite number of creatures that spawn from the game's enemy known as the Hive. It's up to you to take out the 5 bosses that are spread across the map and return the crystals that they hold to the central hub. As you approach each of them, the environment begins to reflect their unique battle arenas, be it platforms that crumble as you walk across them, underwater caverns, aggressive winds, or deep tunnels that shroud the edges of the screen in darkness. Each of the 5 bosses aren't particularly difficult in and of themselves, but they are well designed and they make sure that you use your surroundings to come out on top. Once you've defeated one, a prompt informs you that you've unlocked a power-up. But here's the twist. The power-up is not for you. It's for the enemies outside. That's right. This means that as you progress through the game, taking down boss after boss, the world gets more and more populated with unpredictable, powered-up creatures that make getting to the next one a hell of a lot more difficult. By the end, trying to fight your way to the exit is a total shit show that, with a bit of luck, only the best players will be able to manage. Once you familiarize yourself with each of the bosses, you'll be able to start your run from any of them. Looks a little familiar, doesn't it? You die in one hit. Dying 3 times means your run is over. At least until you defeat a boss and collect their crystal, which restores your lives. This sounds more lenient than it actually is. A lot of the time you'll be dying in ways that are virtually impossible to avoid. Enemies have a way of falling from the sky or leaping into the exact location that you were going to from off screen. It can get incredibly frustrating, but hey, this was never meant to be easy, right? Actually, Overwhelm does offer a robust set of difficulty options, like aim assist, infinite ammo, infinite respawns, and even the ability to adjust how fast the game animates. From what I could tell, you aren't penalized at all for turning on these options, and you still get the full experience, which is pretty cool. Anybody can play through this game and have a pretty good time. I will point out that the option to pause the game when you're looking at your map is broken, and it makes it just flicker on and off instantly. It's a minor bug that didn't bother me all that much, but I thought I'd mention it. What did bother me was the 4 occasions where Overwhelm totally froze in the middle of the action, and I had to close the software entirely to get it working again. Luckily, the Switch itself was still functional, but this is pretty unacceptable, especially in a game that asks this much of its players. I hope they're working on a patch as we speak, because I had several promising runs that were cut short by this bug, and nothing sours your experience more than that. Co-op makes its debut on the Switch version of Overwhelm, and it's a totally welcome addition that makes the uphill climb a bit more manageable, especially considering it gives you the ability to revive one another. But don't go thinking it makes the game too easy. Co-op must be played exclusively with 2 Joy-Cons, which means you won't have a right stick to aim with. Instead, you have to hold down a face button in order to aim with your left stick. This severely handicaps you, making moving and aiming at the same time next to impossible. Your rate of fire is also cut down significantly, increasing the time between each shot, unlike the 3 consecutive bursts that you get in single player. That being said, co-op is a hell of a lot of fun, and going through this nightmare with a friend is always more enjoyable than going it alone. I do wish that you could play with 2 Pro controllers though. Limiting the controllers to the Joy-Cons is a strange choice and I'm not the biggest fan of it. But if I'm being honest, I did get over it pretty quickly. It's pretty fun. Overwhelm is a tough game for me to score. It's so brutal, often unfairly so, and the bugs that are here must be addressed as soon as possible. But running, jumping, aiming, and shooting feels really good, thanks in no small part to the exceptional sound design which works overtime to elevate this mess of pixels into a believable world. Even after hours of throwing myself at the Hive and failing, there's something about Overwhelm's game over screen that hits a particular tone and gets me super pumped to jump back in. It's just so cool. And I've got to point out that I appreciate the simplicity of an experience that's able to be summed up as defeat 5 bosses that are spread across a medium-sized map and return the crystals that they have to the center to win. It feels like a reasonable, attainable goal, and that's what makes you dust yourself off for another shot, even though it gets so overwhelmingly hard. From top to bottom, they knew what it wanted to be, and they pretty much nailed it. And at $10, I know that you can do way worse. This is a title that I'll keep on my Switch for a long time, since it's perfect for short play sessions and practically designed for spontaneous co-op. Warts and all, Overwhelm is a slick, mostly positive experience that has its issues, but I think it's worth checking out if you're into this sort of thing. It gets a 3 out of 5.